February 10th, 2022 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission to order. I'll read the required notice pursuant to Governor Baker's June 15th, 2021 lifting of the state of emergency and following the passing of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. This act allows for remote meetings of public bodies until April 1st of 2022. This meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission is being conducted by remote participation. No in-person attendance or members of the public are permitted, but every effort is made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder, persons who would like to listen to or view this meeting while in progress may do so by turning into the BCAT Government Cable Access Channel, the BCAT Government Meetings Facebook live feed, or you can join the meeting over the phone at 408-418-9388, meeting number 179-747-7321. And that information is on the screen being shared now. Now, to join the Webex live video conference, you would click on the link on the Conservation Commission's meeting page or on the Town of Burlington calendar, or go to the webex.com, join a meeting tab, put in the meeting number, which is the access code, and the password is there if you need it. New public hearings open tonight will not be closed to allow comments from those who are unable to access or uncomfortable with this technology. Comments and concerns regarding public hearings should be addressed by email to conservation@burlington.org before our next meeting, which occurs on February 24th, 2022. If you need this access information again, it's provided on the agenda notice on the Town of Burlington's calendar. You can just click on the date, which is the 10th, and go to the agenda, and all that information will be there. All right, next I'll call the roll call. Dawn Bernstein? Not here yet. Gail Lima?
Here.
Indra Deb? Not here. Bill Boyven?
Here.
Jennifer O'Riordan? Not here. Ed LaTurco?
Here.
Associate Commissioner Kent Moffett?
Here.
Administrator John Keeley?
Here.
Assistant Administrator Eileen Coleman?
Here.
And myself for the record is present, Larry Cohen is chair. All right. A few items on the agenda. If anyone is tuned in to item 5B, that is 7 Wheeler Road, the Wheeler Self-Storage LLC. It's for a certificate of compliance for the bylaw permit only. DEP file number 122-604 is being continued. Could I have a motion to continue that proceeding until the next meeting of February 24th?
So move, Bill.
Second.
Aye.
All right, Gail, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
The chair votes yes by a vote of 400. 7 Wheeler Road Certificate of Compliance is continued until February 24th. Item 9 down on the agenda is a continued public hearing. It is a continued public hearing, notice of intent for 102 Rear Wind Street. Okay, and it's to replace a culvert and restore wetlands across a stream bank. DEP file number 122-666. Is there a motion to continue that public hearing until February 24th?
So moved, Ed.
Second?
Second. Gail.
Gail, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
The chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The continued public hearing for 102 Wind Street is continued to February 24th. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes, January 13th, 2022. Are we in a position to approve? Anyone comment on it?
I read them. They seem fine to me.
Same here.
Okay.
Sent a
Okay.
comment to Eileen, but otherwise I'm okay.
All right.
That's good.
Unless it's something that needs to be discussed, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of January 13th, 2022.
So moved, Gail.
Second. Second, Ed.
Gail, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The minutes of January 13th, 2022 are approved. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 27th, 2022?
So
They
moved,
Bill.
Ed.
We
Second.
haven't received those?
Have we received them?
No,
Oh,
I think I only
yeah.
sent you the ones from the 13th.
Okay, so we'll hold off. All right. I thought we got those two. All right, next. Okay. Next, we'll scroll on to item 4A. Notice is given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a Webex virtual public meeting. In this meeting, we'll take a request for determination of applicability filed by Adam Carter. The commission will be taking information related to the proposed installation of an in-ground pool within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. The property is located at 14 Ledgewood Drive, and we will thereafter issue a determination. The application is being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. A copy of the application is available by email by emailing conservation@burlington.org. All right, is there someone representing that project here?
Yes, my name is Jay Henshaw. I'm calling from Gibraltar Pools. I apologize for doing this on a phone line, but for some reason my laptop audio is not connecting.
That's fine.
The one
can
thing
hear you
I
fine.
have to correct. Pardon me?
We can hear you fine. Please continue.
Okay, great. One thing I need to correct is this is an above ground pool, not an in-ground pool.
Oh, okay, the notice said in ground. Okay,
Okay, it's an above ground pool. And we are within the 100 feet. We're actually, I'm showing two flags. We're 41 feet from one flag and 38 feet from the actual closest flag. The area of disturbance is going to be relatively small. It's going to be an area of 16 feet by 24 feet. It's an established lawn, and there is a physical barrier being a fence separating the proposed area disturbance from the wetlands. It's an above ground pool, so by nature, a temporary structure as opposed to a permanent one. The filtration system on the pool will be a cartridge system. There won't be any backwash. So it'll be a cartridge system. And obviously, if for any reason the pool ever had to be drained, we can easily observe a dissipation period for any chemical that might be in the water. And that's really about it. There's not a lot to this.
all right, very good summary. Thank you. All right, so Gail, or John or Eileen, do you have any comments for the commission on this one?
No, as Jay explained, I'm sharing the plan right now that they provided to us. There were flags over here. I'm not sure you can see my cursor behind the property on the church property, and to the other side over here. They're both around 40 or so feet from the pool, which will be an above ground pool on existing lawn. Although in the back right corner there's an area of mulch at the moment, and as he said, there's a fence in between the proposed pool and the wetlands, so I don't anticipate them even needing any erosion controls.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see if the commissioners have any further questions. Gail, anything?
I'm all set, thank you.
Bill?
No, I had no questions. Well, just want to confirm, you did state that there were no trees being cut, is that correct?
So nothing will be being cut down.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Ed, anything?
I'm fine.
Kent, anything?
Nothing to add.
I have nothing further to add either. Can we, Eileen, would you review a negative conditional determination draft that we have for them?
Sure, I will. Okay, so the applicant proposed to install a 24-foot diameter above ground pool on existing lawn behind the house and deck. Work was located within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW, no wetlands on the subject parcel, but there were wetlands flagged on an adjacent parcel. Proposed pool was approximately 40 feet from the PVW, as we just described. The conditions are all pretty standard. Work is only allowed for the project as described. All construction materials must be, and excavated soil must be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No stockpiling of soil within 50 feet of wetlands. No tracking of sediments onto the public roadways shall be allowed. There should be no filling or significant grading of the property under this decision. Sod will be removed and the area for the pool will be leveled using a bobcat. So it won't be, it's a pretty level yard as it is. Debris, sediment, lawn clippings and landscape materials shall not be dumped in the wetlands. No pesticides, herbicides or fungicides should be used within 100 feet of wetlands. This is one that's sort of directed to this particular project. No chlorinated pool water shall be discharged to impervious surfaces that drain to the street, nor within 20 feet of wetlands. And the others are just standard conditions about how the commission or the representatives may be allowed to just evaluate the project as it goes along. And non-compliance will be deemed a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act.
All right, so sir, do you have any questions? These are pretty routine conditions.
No, that's, yeah, exactly. I'm fine.
All right, okay, that's great. All right, unless there's something further from the commission, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the pool project at 14 Ledwood Drive under Burlington Bylaw, Article 14, and the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved, Bill.
Second, Gail.
Gail, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
I vote yes by a vote of 4-0-0. Negative conditional determination for 14 Ledgewood Drive pool project is now approved. Good luck with the project, sir.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks for tuning in.
Take care.
Yep, bye-bye.
Take care now.
Yes. All right. Next is item 4B. Notice is hereby given. The Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a Webex virtual public meeting. And during this proceeding, this public meeting will act upon a request for determination of applicability filed by Rakesh Gold of 59 Mott Street LLC. The commission will be taking information related to the demolition of a single-family dwelling and the construction of a new dwelling. Some of the proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. The property is located at 24 Wood Hill Road. The commission will thereafter issue a determination. The application is being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act of Burlington Bylaw, Article 14, and a copy of this application is also available by email, conservation@burlington.org. All right, somebody here for this project.
Yes, I'm here, Maureen Harold, Norse Environmental Services.
Hi there, how are you?
Great, thank you. How are you?
I am doing fine. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So we filed a request for determination with the commission to raise an existing dwelling, deck, and retaining wall. I can bring in the plan if that's easier, Eileen. Okay.
I'm just getting it, sorry.
Oh, okay. Thank you. We'd like to raise the dwelling and construct a new single-family dwelling. The 100-foot buffer zone slightly goes within the deck, as you can see. The wetland is in the upper right-hand corner. We show the erosion controls, the wattles at the 20-foot no disturb. We meet the 40-foot no structure. And I can open it up to the commission if you have any questions.
Okay, that was a good, concise summary. Thank you. John or Eileen, do you have comments on this one, 24 Wood Hill Road?
It's going to be me again. So Maureen's absolutely right. There's wetlands in the back left on the property. There's also a small channel further off the property. It's probably at least 150 feet from the proposed house. The current house is just within the 100 foot. The new house will be just the deck, only the deck will be within the 100 foot, but there is going to be, I wanted to ask, I'm not sure if Maureen can answer this, but I did have a couple of questions for Rakesh about whether there's going to be much grading in the back or any more retaining walls built, and how he's going to address stormwater in the new house, because it's not on this plan and I didn't talk to him about it.
Is Rakesh on the call? Do you know?
I didn't see him,
Okay.
and I'm
So
Well,
those are
w-
all good
okay.
questions that you have. So, and I honestly, I don't know. The grades that you see are on the plan are the existing grades. So you're right, in terms of grading, we don't show it. And I'm not sure if a retaining wall is going to be incorporated or not.
I don't really think he intended to do much grading, or at least I suspect not. There's an existing retaining wall right behind the deck. I'm assuming he's taking it out. I guess my main concern, or not concern, I'm not concerned. I just had a question about the stormwater management. But we can just condition that if the commission is confident with that.
Okay, anything else, Eileen?
No.
All right, let's start with Gail. Gail, anything on this one?
So that was my question about whether there was gonna be any grading and changes to this. So,
Okay, Bill?
Yeah, I was questioning whether, what was going to be done with the rooftop and the driveway runoff. It appears to me that the entire property slopes towards the backyard anyway, so I don't think that there would be any drainage going into the street. So we can condition that it not do so. Any tree cutting planned at all for this project?
No trees to be cut.
Well, that's not entirely true.
Yeah.
The trees were already cut. Rakesh didn't realize this was going to be an ORDA. He was under the impression that it was just going to be strictly an erosion control permit.
Okay,
So a few mature trees were cut. I'm not sure if anybody noted the number. I'm going to say maybe 5 or 6. I actually didn't count them.
can we condition them to be replanted somewhere in the rear of the property or
We
somewhere?
can. I think we may have to. We drafted something, and I may have to add a couple of conditions as we go along tonight. Okay.
Okay. What about conditioning a fence to protect the wetland and the 20-foot no disturb in the back corner?
Under the circumstances, I'm not sure. Well, I'll defer to John in case he has a different opinion, but there is a pretty substantial rock, like a boulder wall back there.
Okay,
And I don't think he intends to move that. And that effectively blocks everything from the wet. The wetland is behind that boulder wall.
I did not visit the site, so thank you for telling me.
I agree.
Okay, and then the only other comment I had is looking at the property from the street, the property to the right, which was recently developed. It's not related to this application, but I looked at an aerial photograph and it seemed like their clearing might have gone back more than it should have. Did you happen to notice that while you were there?
That is one of those ones that was actually an addition, that project, I believe, about 2 years ago, that kind of slipped under the radar because I wasn't getting something about additions. I spoke to them, but the work was really already done at that point.
Okay, because, it looks like a whole new house, but they just
They probably resided the whole
raised it up
thing.
the front and put on an addition. You're right. So it didn't come
Yeah.
before us. Okay, it just looked to me like from the aerial photograph, the entire property's been cleared pretty much. Okay, those are the only questions I had. Thank you.
All right, Ed. Have
Well,
anything?
the only thing is which got covered with those boulders in the back considered wall. And I agree with the trees being added to the property.
All right. Kent, anything on this one?
No, Bill covered it all.
Yeah, Eileen, this is the property, I was there, I just want to make sure I understand. This is the property where the trunks were massive that were cut?
They were pretty big, yeah. They were.
Bill, just so you appreciate it, these were massive trees. I mean, you're talking at least 2-foot diameter.
Oh, boy.
And they took them all down.
Wow.
At least some of them did appear to be damaged. They were, I don't know, what's the word when they're like rotten in the center,
Mm.
Inside rot.
I guess.
Is that the technical term you're looking?
Good enough.
Maureen, is that what it's
Or
called?
rot.
It's heart rot. It's
That's
heart
it?
rot.
Hard.
Heart rot.
That's it. Heart.
Heart rot, okay. All right, so why don't we, is there anyone in the audience for this one? I should have asked the last one too. No. All right, so we should review the negative conditional determination and let's talk about the issue of trees or anything else that comes up as we go.
Okay. Get it for you. So we referenced the address and the two plans he sent, the existing and the proposed, and we are describing it as demolishing an existing house partly within the buffer to BBW, constructing a new residence with deck and driveway, and the deck, earthwork, grading, and landscaping will be within the buffer zone to BBW. Wetlands were flagged and surveyed onto the reference plan. This decision is only for the work as described, and nothing else may occur. Sediment barriers shall be installed and inspected by conservation staff. Rakesh has actually already done this. They are in place when we realized that there was a slight miscommunication about the resource area. We actually did say a fence or closely spaced line of shrubs shall be installed no closer than 20 feet from the wetland. I'm actually not, I mean, you guys can leave it, but I think with the big the big boulders, I'm not sure it's necessary. That's entirely up to you guys. I'll just keep reading. All construction demolition materials shall be excavated, shall be disposed of offsite in a legal manner. No tracking of sediments onto public roadways, no filling or grading beyond what is required from the approved work. Approved work in the grade shall not be altered beyond what is shown on the approved plan. Debris, sediment, lawn clippings should not be dumped in the wetlands. We do have the standard conditions then about rooftop infiltration. We said that it shall be infiltrated on the lot, not discharged onto roadway. Method of infiltration shall be reviewed and approved by the Conservation Department. This is the typical wording that we would use in an erosion control permit. Dry wells or infiltrators if used shall be appropriately sized with supporting calculations. If the driveway is to be replaced, the new driveway shall be pitched so that runoff from the driveway shall be directed to a stone infiltration trench or trench drain system or grass swale, not to the street. No pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and commission members may visit the property, and non-compliance should be deemed a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act. And these are just the conditions about getting an occupancy permit. So shall I change the thing about the fence, or will I just make it that 6 native trees shall be planted somewhere on the property? What do you think?
Well, the thing is, first of all, I would propose to the commission that the shrubs are not what's needed, given what was cut. I think the replacement of some decent sized trees closer down around, the 91, 92, 90, somewhere in there.
Is that when you say 90? Is that the grading line?
Yeah, the grading line. I mean, I would be proposing this to the commission. I would think would be more meaningful, not just anywhere on site, but closer to the wetlands.
Yeah.
Because of the value of the shade offered by the trees. Anyone want to comment?
No, I agree with that, Larry.
Okay. All right, so, and I'm not sure 6 trees would do it, but let me ask the commission, do they feel they want to put any specification on the trees? Do we have a minimum specification that is acceptable? I'm not quite sure what we have been doing in that regard regarding size. I know we use native trees, we might do a red maple or something like that, but do we have a certain size caliper minimum? How do we handle that, Eileen and John?
Oh, sorry, you're asking me. I thought you were waiting for the commissioners. I think we've had something that we've used in the past about not being less than 1.5 inches or something like that. Does that sound familiar? I can find that standard wording if that'll work for people.
Well, let's ask John. How's that sound to John? How's that sound to you?
Well, so you could either go by height or you could go by the diameter at breast
Mhm.
height, which is the diameter of the trunk. You don't want to plant really big trees. The smaller trees catch up fairly quickly. They have less transplant shock. But I would recommend like maybe between 4 and 5 foot high trees.
All right, so is that the best way to specify it?
Sure.
Okay.
It's easiest for the applicant to understand. If you put in DBH, they're going to be confused.
Yeah.
All right, so any further comment by the commission? You all agree with that?
Right here.
Yep. I would eliminate number 3 there, the
Yep,
need for the
can.
fence, because we already discussed that you said it was not required.
Are you okay with the number? Are you
How many-
okay with 6?
How many
or
trees
do
do
you-
we want, folks?
I say 2 to 1. I mean, those were very large, mature trees that were cut, without seeking the proper permissions.
Shall I say 10?
No, that's too small of an area, I think. I think,
Okay,
think
I
five
didn't count the
trees.
number.
I'll throw out there that at 6 seems appropriate, but I'll welcome any comment.
I'm fine with that. 6 is fine.
Anyone else?
I'll go along with that. I
Okay,
had 5.
all right, all right. So anything, if there's nothing further, is there anything further to edit this negative conditional determination?
Are you okay with within 50 feet of the wetland? Is that okay for you?
Let's see.
Because it would be, yeah, that, but maybe he could put a few in behind the rocks and a few in front.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Were there any trees taken down behind the rocks? Is there actually room
No.
to plant back there?
There probably
Very-
isn't.
very
There
wooded,
was
and I
nothing
don't think
taken.
they do very
Yeah,
well back there.
yeah. You're right, Gil.
all right, are we in a position to move forward? All right, could I have a motion to have a negative conditional, is there a motion to have a negative conditional determination for the project at 24 Woodhill Road under Burlington Bylaw Article 14, the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved, Don.
Second?
Second, Ed.
All right, for the record, Dawn, since I heard your voice, the record should show that Dawn has now joined us. Okay, for the minutes. All right, so Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 500, the negative conditional determination for 24 Woodhill Road is approved.
Thank you.
All right, good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Next, we're on 5A. We have a request for certificate of compliance for the roadway at Murphy Court. Its address is 3 Lexington Street. It's the Lexington Trust, Murphy Court Lexington Trust, I guess, DEP file number 122-597. We have three houses on the subdivision. I am told that all 3 houses have been issued a certificate, so this is for the roadway only. Any discussion, John or Eileen, on this one?
So the project is completed. We did check the file. There wasn't any conditions regarding the formation of a homeowners association. Although I'm sure the planning board handled that in their subdivision decision. But we did not have that as a condition in our order of conditions. So I would say that this is all set to go.
All right, any comments from, say, Dawn or Gail?
no,
Comment- Comments from Bill,
Nope.
Ed,
No.
Kent?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add either, so could I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for 3 Lexington Street, the Murphy Court roadway, DEP file number 122-597?
So move, Bill.
Second,
Second, Ed.
all right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
The chair votes yes, so by a vote of 500, the certificate of compliance for 3 Lexington Street, Murphy Court roadway is approved. Is there a bond on the roadway?
There is a bond, and I forgot to look it up, and I don't have the file with me. I recommend releasing the entire bond. Phyllis probably remembers. I'm guessing it's 10,000, but you muted, Phyllis.
Sorry, I'm sorry. It was actually 5,000. And
Okay.
I would like to comment that we do have a recorded homeowners association and a homeowners association operation and maintenance manual and long-term pollution prevention plan also recorded and referenced in the homeowners association. And I can give you copies of those.
Thank you.
All right,
Excellent.
that'd be great. Nice to see you, Phyllis. I didn't notice you were there until you tried to start speaking.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Okay, then, moving this along, could I have a motion to full release of the $5,000 bond for 3 Lexington Street, Murphy Court roadway, DEP file number 122-597.
So moved, Don.
Second,
Second it,
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes,
Bill? Bill? Are you muted, Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, you're muted, okay.
Okay.
Ed,
yes.
and the chair votes yes by a vote of 500. The bond is fully released for the Murphy Court roadway, DEP file number 122-597. All right, you're all set on this one.
Thank you.
All right, entirely welcome. Okay. All right, next is item 6, I believe we're at. Notice is given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing. And the purpose of the hearing is to take all information related to a stormwater erosion and sedimentation control permit application. This has been filed by the Town of Burlington DPW for the reconstruction of a public library parking lot. It's located at our library at 22 Fair Street. The application is being heard pursuant to Burlington Bylaw Article 14, Section 6. The commission will review all information relative to the application and thereafter may issue a stormwater erosion sedimentation control permit for the proposed activity. And a copy of the application may either be viewed or downloaded at the Conservation Commission website. All right, so do we have someone representing the town on this one?
Good evening. This is Tom Hayes. I am here with Tim Mazzoni, who is the design engineer on the project. So we're asking for an erosion control permit for resurfacing and drainage improvements at the Burlington Public Library, 22 Center Street. And since Tim is the design engineer, I'm going to let him go through the project and explain the details and what we're doing out there.
All right, please do.
Yeah, I'm Tim Mazzoni. I'm with the engineering division. And we are repaving this parking lot as part of our parking lot paving program we do annually. This parking lot is in pretty bad shape, so we have decided to reclaim, which is grind up the entire parking lot and regrade it, and repave new coats of pavement. In doing so, we will upgrade the drainage structures on site. The drainage structures were in need of upgraded. There was approximately, well, there's 3 catch basins, existing catch basins, and we are adding additional catch basin on the right-hand side of the back of the rear of the building, and an additional catch basin out on Briarwood Lane. We're asking for an erosion control permit.
Okay, Tim, thank you. All right, Eileen, John, you have some comments on this one.
It's Eileen again. Well, my comments are that I've been really pestering Tim and Tom and Michael Wick, the director of the library, during the week, because this being a town project, I was hopeful that we could, just take the opportunity to do a little bit of retrofitting, because it's part of, as you all know, the town itself has a permit with the EPA for managing our stormwater. And I was suggesting initially that maybe they could direct some of the water down here, which is sort of the back of the property, and create something back here like a rain garden. But that's not going to fly because their parking is absolutely at a premium there. And then my later suggestion was that maybe they could do something over here. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing, but I was saying, the pitch here is already apparently going down towards the front grassed area. Maybe they could do something there and it would be a really nice feature for the library, and, they could talk it up. So I will leave them with that. This is definitely an improvement to the stormwater situation, no matter what happens. They're replacing 3 pretty shallow catch basins with much deeper ones with deep sumps. So it is definitely an improvement no matter what happens.
Okay. All right, thank you, Eileen.
Eileen, if I may, Eileen, the area you're pointing to out in front of the building there, that catch basin there is below, the elevation is below the surrounding edges of pavement. So it's kind of like a hole in that area. It doesn't, in order to get that elevation to the edge, the front edge, we'd have to do a significant regrading. There's also a sidewalk there, if you point, yeah, exactly, there's a
Yeah,
sidewalk right
it would
there.
absolutely have to have a curb cut or something. Yes,
Yeah.
I fully get that.
I'm thinking that the better area would be on the other side, if you move a pointer up a little further.
Over up here?
Yeah, to the left. That's the only area I could see that might work, but it's a very tight area. This whole parking lot is, it's a lot of impervious material, and Mr. Wick actually wanted me to try to find some additional parking if I could. And quite frankly, there was no really way to add additional parking. So he is definitely in the need of parking, so I'm not sure if that would.
Right. That was why I was just wondering whether something could be done with the existing green, because I get it's very tight.
Yeah, we have, and Tim and I kind of batted this around for, a little bit, because we were looking, as soon as Mike was very concerned about parking, and even the existing parking out there is too small. It is not industry standard, and that's so they can squeeze as many cars as possible in there. So, we did a tree well out on Mill Pond. That was part of the project, and so we'll possibly be able to fit a tree well in the front of the library. I mean, there's a small tree. We don't want to cut any mature trees out there, but there's a tree that was replaced, and it might be maybe 2 or 3 inches in caliber. So we might be able to pop that out and put a tree well in, and then replant it. So that's in the front of the area. Up
Where
on
would that
State
be?
Street side. So if you go a little bit higher, see that's
On this side?
yeah, there's a tree there it's kind of small. Might be able to get that out and put a tree well in that area. So it's something that we're thinking about. We really have to talk to Mike Wick about that, the library director, to make sure that that fits in okay, and as well as look at the grading and look at any sort of utility conflicts we might have. But it's definitely something we might be able to squeeze in.
Okay. All right, let's go see if there's questions from the commission. Don, anything further?
No, I don't have anything.
Gail?
No, but I do agree with Eileen that, if there's some place to do, kind of a LID type of stormwater system, it'd be a great addition, but also a great educational source. Buildings that I've visited in Boston on the MIT campus, they have some of these in front of their buildings. And they look nice, and they're also just a good educational feature for the community.
Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you, Gail. Bill?
I think the upgrade to the deep sump catch basins is needed and much appreciated. I'm noticing that in the bottom of the drawing, 3 of the catch basins, it looks like, and the rooftop drainage all merge into the lower left there. Is it possible to put in a water quality unit at that point before it goes out to the stormwater system?
I'm sorry, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about.
Well, in the lower left, let me get the other glasses so I can see what the hell I'm talking about too. The lower left, there's a red circle around a existing structure being replaced. Yeah, right in there.
Yes,
The drains coming from the left go into, just above that, there's an intersection point if you follow the drain line, where it seems like the rooftop goes in there and the feed from the catch basin. Where do I see this?
I know the rooftop drain goes, if you go up a little further with your pointer, Eileen, the rooftop drain goes into the upper portion of that parking lot. Right there, and there's also one that goes out into Briarwood Lane from the other side of the building.
Yeah, there's a couple of drains. There's one right under the F on first floor elevation there, that on the side of the building,
Yes, yep.
there's one there that drains over to that point.
Yeah, there's actually a manhole to the left if you keep going from that structure.
Yep. So I was just wondering if before that goes out to the stormwater, to the, the stormwater system, if that, if there would somewhere in that last leg, there could be an opportunity if we're doing, the parking lot modifications now, this would be the chance to do it, to get water quality treatment in there.
Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely take a look at that and see if we can squeeze it in as well.
Okay,
Terrific.
all right. All right, thank you. Ed, anything?
Nothing really to add, just curious, how many more parking spaces will you gain after this is done?
0.
Wow,
Everything's going back to where it was.
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, the parking spaces are really undersized. It's hard to get any additional parking spaces.
No, I'm good.
Okay, Kent, anything?
No, I agree. It's still smaller parking, but I think it's definitely been over there a lot of times. I think the repaving and the upgrade to the storm water drainage will be a huge improvement. So I think it'll look good when it's done.
All right, I have nothing further on this one. Is there anyone in the audience for this 22 Sayre Street, the redoing the parking lot at the library? Anyone in the audience at all? All right, so I assume, are we holding this open and then we'll close at the next meeting? Is that the plan, Eileen?
I think so. I can't remember if I drafted something. Did we, John?
No, we're just opening
Right.
public hearing tonight.
I'm sorry, there were so many decisions. I'm getting them mixed up. I'm sorry.
No, this is the first night of the public hearing.
Right.
All right, is that a problem for you folks to wait the 2 weeks and get it issued at that point?
No, not at all.
Okay, all right, so I didn't hear any issues, so at the next meeting, I'm not even sure you have to be there, but remote participation's easy, so you're certainly welcome.
Well, they were going to take a look at Bill's request about the storm scepter or something.
Yes, yes.
We could I could update the drawing and have it ready by then. Give you a copy.
Okay, so we'll see you on the February 24th. You're on the agenda.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both.
Good night.
Take care. Have a good evening.
You need a roll call to continue?
Yes, okay. Could I have a motion to continue the hearing for 22 Sayre Street, please?
So move, Bill.
Second.
Second, Don.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes by a vote of 5-0-0. The public hearing on 22 Sayre Street is continued. Okay, thanks for that reminder. All right. Next is item 7. Notice is hereby given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public hearing. We're going to take information related to a notice of intent filed by the trustees of the reservation for the installation of flow devices in a beaver dam located at 25 Blanchard Road, which is also, it's known as Mary Cummings Park. The proposed work will be within the bordering vegetative wetlands, bank, land underwater, and riverfront area, and the associated 100-foot buffer zone pursuant to the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. The commission will be reviewing all information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and a Burlington Wetlands permit for this proposed project. The application is available on the commission's website. The materials can be downloaded or viewed at that location. All right, so is there somebody here representing Mary Cummings Park?
Yes, Jeremy Dick from the trustees.
How are you tonight, Jeremy?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. It's good to see you. Would you like to start off and say a few words about what you're doing?
Sure, yeah. So we, trustees, as many of you know, has come into management of Mary Cummings Park in the last 2 years, effectively. The series of events, we had a drought year in 2020 and then a very rainy year this year. There's an existing stream that runs through the property in the north or the southwest corner. And we had beaver activity and a dam building occur sometime this year. And because of the rain, we've noticed flooding of the wetlands to the upstream of the dam. The water itself is backing up into abutting property as well, adjacent to the parkland. Currently, the flooding is not necessarily impacting trails or public infrastructure. Trustees, however, is interested in putting in a flow device in the dam itself to regulate the water level and try to avoid any future infrastructure impacts, as well as lower the amount of water and anxiety on the neighbors.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that summary, Jeremy. All right, John or Eileen, you have any comments on this one?
Sure, I'll take this one. So the trustees are hiring a company called Beaver Solutions, Mike Callahan, and he's sort of the busiest guy in Massachusetts, pretty much. He's like the biggest expert and does this kind of work in most of the towns in Massachusetts. So he really knows what he's doing. And what he does is he evaluates the streams to determine whether or not this is a good solution. There's certain streams where beavers are going to come back over and over again. You can never get rid of them. You get rid of the ones that are there, new ones will come if it's good habitat. So the best solution in those situations is to regulate the water level so that everybody can live with it. The beavers will be happy and hopefully the residents will be happy. I've seen the dam. I haven't seen it recently. From the pictures, it looks actually bigger than the last time I saw it, but and the commission has not had a chance to go out there. I'm suggesting that maybe they can schedule a special trip out there between now and the continued hearing on the 24th.
Okay, do you see any issues with what's proposed here, John?
No, I think it's an excellent solution.
All right. Let's see if there's anything further. Gail, you have anything further?
I agree, and I'm really happy to hear a beaver solution where we, have the beavers survive.
All right, Don, anything?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's certainly worth doing.
Indra? Oh, Indra's not here. Bill?
Just one question, the drawing that was showing the design of that, does the drainage pipe actually go physically through the beaver dam? It does, okay.
Correct,
It
yeah.
doesn't disturb the beavers enough to make them move away or anything? Well, I
So
guess- yeah.
this dam is to create a pond. So the beavers build the dam to back up water, and then they actually live in other dam structures within the pond. Yep.
Okay, so this is not the lodge, this is the dam. All right, that's what
Correct.
I'm thinking. Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, that we're on. Ed, anything?
No, I just happy to see that we're finally getting some resolution to it. It's been a long time coming for the residents. I know they've seen beavers, not seen beavers, so it's been an issue that's just waited for an answer, and this is a great answer. And hopefully that will keep the residents at bay as far as not worrying about something happening again. I can honestly say too that the rise of water takes a lot of trees. I got 5, 6 trees behind us because the rise of the pond water. So I can understand what they're worried about, seeing trees fall, making a mess. A lot of things go along with that. So this is a great solution.
All right, thank you, Ed. Kent, anything?
I just echo what people said. I think it's a pretty good solution, and to Gail's point, won't have to really disturb the beavers that much. So it seems like a really good solution.
All right, are there any comments from abutters or anyone that abuts these properties or something would like to say something?
Yes.
Please.
Hi.
Give your name, please.
Deborah Bear, 27 Eugene Road.
Yes.
And half of my property has been underwater several feet now since the beginning of this problem. More important than the trees that are being damaged in my woods that we all used to walk through that area. I had a realtor come out and look at my property. And the first thing she said was, our neighborhood is the kind of neighborhood that people come to raise children. It's a strictly a residential area as far as families are concerned.
Mhm.
And with the amount of water that I have back there, she said most likely people with young children would not be interested in looking at the property because of the safety issues. That's how deep it is and how close it is to where my house is. So I'm very much in favor of this beaver deceiver. And I do have a question about how would it be maintained for the future once it's installed?
Okay, Jeremy, you have any comments on that?
Yeah, so we will be working with Mike Callahan to do annual maintenance on the device, and that would be the lifetime of the device, which is 10 plus years.
Okay.
And then the staff of trustees as well, will be monitoring the area and the device more often, bi-monthly or monthly over the course of a year, to make sure that obstructions are not present.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Yes,
Hi, Dave Webb, also a Eugene Road resident.
what
experiencing-
number? What number, Dave?
I'm at 23.
Okay, thank you.
So the ones that are affected are myself, Patrinopolis, next to me, Debbie, you just heard from,
Yes,
and Judy Parker.
Yes.
All four of us have definite flooding problems in our floodplain behind our houses. And Holly Glen is on the other side. I don't know if anybody's here from Holly Glen to speak up, but they're all also concerned about this flooding. I'd just like to mention, Debbie pointed out the most important things, I think, but there are a couple safety issues I think we all should point out that are being exacerbated by this flooding. Mosquitoes, we've noticed an influx of mosquitoes over this fall, and of course West Nile virus was detected in Burlington, so this is something we're very concerned about if this doesn't get at least ameliorated somewhat in the future. And the other thing is, of course, we're all an aging population on this side of the street, and we have grandchildren that visit us periodically, and there's a worry about kids getting involved back there and falling in the water and maybe even drowning. So this is an issue that we have to worry about, that I think the commission should be aware of. And also, this is woods back there, and all these trees that are being flooded now. This has been going on for most of last year, since at least the spring. So it's been a full year that the roots of those trees have been underwater. And already some of them have fallen. It's worse back in the Mary Cummings Park, east of where we are. So the dam is in the park, and then we're to the west of that in the upstream part of this flooding. And the trees in the Mary Cummings Park that area's been underwater even for a longer period of time, even before the beavers came. Really, it's definitely undergone periodic flooding with rains, and those trees and bushes a lot of those have come down already, and I feel that's going to happen in our area eventually. Within, I don't know how long it takes for trees to rot out because of their roots are underwater, but it could just be another year or so. So that's a big worry for us. Just one more thing. Jeremy points out, yes, we certainly support this first attempt to try to bring the water level down. We hope it'll bring it down at least several feet, but that's a little bit of an unknown how well it will work. And if it doesn't work, or if it's not maintained properly, then we will look for other solutions, including full removal of the dam. I see no reason in the future why that dam cannot be removed. I know there's lots of problems with state regulations and so forth, And we're not advocating killing the beavers, but somehow it seems to me that even if the dam is removed and built back eventually by the beavers, it can just keep removing it. It's about a 3-foot height that the dam causes between the lower part of the river and the ponding above the dam. It's quite a steep drop right now, and that's what we're trying to ameliorate. But we're for this effort right now, and we just hope it works as advertised. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David. Anyone else would like to speak that's in the neighborhood? Yes,
Yes,
please identify yourself.
Hi, Mark Woods, 12 Eugene Road.
Sure.
I also live in the neighborhood. I'm not directly abutting the river or the brook that's behind Dave's house that he just referenced, but I do walk down Eugene Road every day with my dog. And when I look behind their yards, I'm alarmed at how far the water has come up into their backyard. You could put on a pair of skates and go skating back there now. It's kind of shocking, really. And to Dave's point about the mosquitoes, that's the thing I worry about, because that pond is a breeding ground now for mosquitoes, and that water should be moving. It should not be still. It was
Right.
never designed to be a pond. It's a brook or a river, and the water should be flowing. So I hope that this mechanism that you're installing is going to encourage the water to flow and not to just sit there and become a breeding ground for mosquitoes. And I agree with Dave, if this first step doesn't work, the dam should be removed. It shouldn't be there in the first place. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that input. It seems like you, all three of you, have very valid concerns. Is there anyone else? All right, let's see. Is there any commissioner that would like to say anything further on this? All right, I have a question, Jeremy, 2 questions. One is this device that you're putting in sized to some particular performance rate or something? Or are they all the same size?
This is Mike was indicating that we would like to maintain a pond level of about 3 feet behind the dam. That's the elevation that he has seen the most success with beavers not creating another dam to circumvent the device. He feels that if you go lower, the beavers are more likely to move downstream or upstream and just build another dam that further raises the water level to where they would like it.
That brings my second question. And are you going to monitor the effectiveness of alleviating the flooding? And if it seems to still be a problem, would you then bring this professional back to install it, say a foot lower or something like that?
Yeah, I think we'll look at progressive solutions in that regard. Yes, he was on property last in August or September of this year to look at the existing dam and to take some field measurements. But I think at the time of installation, which we're hoping would be in April of this year, he would be doing some more direct on property measurement and taking into account where the elevation of water is now on the edges of the property.
So what you're just saying is, if more needs to be done, the immediate next step is not to remove the dam necessarily. It may be to adjust the level at which this device is being placed. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I think the stance here is that the beavers have a right to live and exist on this property, and it's a keystone species that we want to see live here. So I think managing the dam to lower concerns is something we can look into further over the time. But removal of the beaver or the beavers and dams is not really an interest at this point in time.
So you're saying it's a last resort is another way of putting it?
Yeah, I would say so. We want to manage the species on the property. Yes.
Okay, David, did you want to follow up?
Yeah, I just had a quick question, Jeremy, on that. I hope when the Matt or whoever's doing the installation, I hope they come and knock on my door and ask to look at the level behind our houses to that'd be a very good check on how well this is working, you know, how far down our water levels go. So I hope that they will check maybe in the backyards of the residences between Holly Glen and Eugene Road to see how well it does. And of course, we'll all be watching too, so we'll be in touch with you on all that, I'm sure.
I'm sure you will be. Okay, all right, very good. So this will be, Eileen or John, this will be continued to the next meeting. We need another roll call.
You do. So what I'm suggesting is though that the commission do a site walk to look at the dam and also get permission tonight from the residents of Eugene Road. So after you actually go into the park and look at the dam, then afterwards go out to Eugene Road and look at their yards as well. And I was thinking maybe next week.
All right, so what I'm seeing is I see 1, 2, is there a third person as well that we're getting permission from? Mark Woods?
I'm not in a butter of the where the water is backing up. I do live on the street,
Okay,
but I don't have the water behind me. It's behind the others who spoke.
yeah, thank you for that clarification. So we have permission from Deborah Bear.
Yes.
And we have permission from David Webb.
And you also, yes, you also have permission from Patricia Shinopoulos at 25 Eugene Road. This is her daughter. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for chiming in on that. Okay, so could I have a motion to continue the public hearing for the installation of a flow device in a beaver dam at Mary Cummings Park? Continue that hearing until February 24th.
Move, Gail.
Second,
Don, how you vote?
yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Okay, and the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 5-0-0, the public hearing for the Mary Cummings Park Beaver Dam project is continued to February 24th. At that time, Jeremy, I think we will close the hearing and issue the permit.
Great. Thank you.
All right, Jeremy, if you want to stay just 2 more minutes, we're coming up on a new season in Mary Cummings Park. And I thought that since you're here and the timing is perfect, that if you want to comment on if you want to take a couple of minutes and comment on any plans for Mary Cummings Park coming for the new season, if you feel like doing that.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, we do have a couple trail projects that we will be coming back to the commission for review on. One in particular is the Wetland Trail, which goes very close within 150 feet of the Beaver Dam location. There's an existing footbridge there over the stream, 16-foot bridge. We would be looking to replace that bridge entirely with a 24-foot bridge that would be a little bit safer for users of the park. And it would definitely take care of a to-be hazardous situation sometime soon. The bridge is deteriorating. It's been there for quite a while, I believe. So that's one project we're looking at for summer, late summer, August period of time. A second project for trails, the tunnel trail. If you appreciate that trail on the property, it leads back towards Central Field in the old Boy Scout camp area. That also has a small footbridge made out of rough pallet kind of bridge, a makeshift. That's currently damaged, so we're looking to replace that. We would probably submit for an RDA on that as well that would allow us to replace that bridge with 2 bog boards similar to the bridge we put in last year, that would allow a machine to drive over a tractor to get to Central Field for maintenance, but also take care of that trail. Resurfacing of that trail as well is a problem.
Let me interrupt you. On the tunnel trail, it often stays, a portion of it stays wet for very long times. Are you looking, you're probably familiar with it.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of doing anything on that at all?
So along with the bridge which is towards the end of the tunnel trail, we'd be trying to resurface and grade out some of the ruts in that trail itself. So coming back from the bridge area towards the new parking lot, bringing in gravel material and leveling out that surface, similar to what we did at the Science and Nature Trail last year.
Right, that would be great.
That would hopefully take care of some of the mud. We'll also look at some water bars in that zone to try to bring some water off of the trail.
Right, right. You can get pretty muddy wet. It stays wet for a long time there, as you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And how about plantings? Some of the plantings, did you end up replacing some of the plantings that failed and are in the replication area? And I don't know the status of that. You have any?
So we've monitored, or we've been monitoring. Julie Richburg on staff has been doing the monitoring of the replication areas. We had some browsing of certain species, Tupelo, and some of the summer sweet. So we will be looking in the spring for any replacements that need to be done for those. The Tupelos that were browsed by deer have actually sprouted. So we might just let those grow from the sprouts, which should be fine. In the parking lot area and at the entrance as well, we'll probably be adding 2 to 3 more shade trees in that zone. We haven't seen any loss in the entry area, which is great. So all the canopy trees that have been planted have done quite well. So we'll maintain those this year. I think we're beyond the establishment phase on them. They all did really well through the last year with all the rain. So I think that's been great.
Yeah, and also I noticed you have some trenches filled with stone near the parking area to try to manage the drainage.
Yeah, so we learned a good lesson about the water that moves across that field. So we did in the autumn this year, we put in some additional drainage in the upper meadow section towards the water tower.
Yes.
To catch the water coming across that slope. And then we put in a sub drain on the path itself to allow the water to go underneath the path and into the stormwater detention basin at the lower end of the parking lot.
Right. Okay, Jeremy, thank you very much for that update. It's good to see you and get that update.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, Larry.
All right, you take care.
You too.
Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, next is, we have a public hearing. Okay, so we have, paperwork here. Notice is hereby given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public hearing. This is to take information related to a notice of intent filed by Edens for the installation of a walk-in freezer at 34 Cambridge Street in Burlington. That's I believe that's the Crossroads Shopping Center. The proposed work would be within the riverfront area in a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetland and bank. Pursuant to the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14, the commission will review all information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and a Burlington's wetland permit for this project. This application is available for view or downloading at the Conservation Commission website. So is there someone here from Edens?
Yeah, you got Steve Materano here with Bowler representing Edens this evening. I have also with me Ben Davis from Edens is on the line. So if there's questions for them, but I'll be very brief in the presentation. It's actually the bulk of the project is a re-tenanting of some of the retail space with a Mom's Organic Market. Is occupying some vacant retail space. To facilitate their operations, they need a walk-in refrigerator, walk-in freezer that does not exist. So that the proposal is to add a walk-in freezer off of the back of the building, and I'll show you where that is in a second. It's basically an 11 by 18 roughly enclosure, so about 200 square feet of addition onto the back of the building in existing paved areas to accommodate their operations. And then adjacent to it, there is a new trash and compost area enclosure, and then at grade, just replacing some asphalt with a 10 by 10 concrete receiving pad. So really just a couple of modifications within the existing parking areas, or really the back of house paved areas of the existing Crossroads Shopping Center. Again, to facilitate a very interesting, I think, new and really they have I thought might be interesting. Their purpose statement was our purpose is to protect and restore the environment. They seem like a good steward for this shopping center, and I think there'll be a nice add to the plaza. So with that, I'll show you where those changes are occurring. Just zoom out so you can get the full plaza here.
We can't see your screen, Steve.
No, I'm about to.
Okay.
Sorry, I was getting it in better shape before I tortured you with the zooming in and out. So can everybody see the screen at least? It's pretty small, I would imagine. But, as you can see, so this is Cambridge Street at the bottom of the page.
Can anybody else see the screen? Oh, it's okay now.
There we go.
It suddenly appeared.
Oh, okay. So a little delay there, but good. Hopefully everybody can see it now. Cambridge Street at the bottom of the page here. You have existing buildings wrap the edge of the property, with the bulk of the parking is right in the middle of the site. And then you can see the small orange dot off to the back side of the buildings. And this box here is the proposed tenant. And I'll zoom in on this. I'm just trying to give you some context of the scale of what we're trying to do and location on the property. And then obviously you've got some wetlands and riverfront area along the back edge of the property. And I'll just click forward to zoom in on that area, so you get a little better sense of where it is. So on the back side of the property, it's approximately 11 feet off, and you can see this line here is the existing pavement and guardrail behind the building. So all of this from this pavement line to the building is paved. It's dumpsters, back of house operations, loading, doors in the back. So it's a true back of house space. And if I zoom in even more, there's already a transformer right here that is out the same distance as the freezer that we're looking to add here. So it's a little less than 11 feet off the building and a little short of 17 feet along the building. So approximately 200 square feet of building addition for the freezer. And then on the other side of their property, this would be some composting barrels and a dumpster, and then a new enclosure around that, chain link fence with the privacy slots in there, so to be fully screened and protected, which is better than most of the existing conditions back there. So that'll be a nice add and improvement. And obviously the composting goes with their purpose statement of being environmentally conscious in their operations. And then right next to this is just a 10 by 10 concrete pad. Again, taking out asphalt and putting in these new improvements. So as far as a stormwater impact, we call it de minimis. It's technically a slight improvement, because we're removing some pavement and replacing it with roof. So there's a nominal decrease in the amount of salting and sanding that occur because it's a roof instead of a parking area. But otherwise, there's no negative impacts on infiltration, on water quality. And then we have in the package a construction, storm erosion and sedimentation control plan to make sure that during the construction of these elements, the catch basin, there's a catch basin right here for the site drainage. We've protection measures called out to make sure there's not sediment getting into the resource areas during this minimal amount of construction. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. I mean, it's a pretty limited scope, but happy to answer any questions about I can answer some about moms, but anything you have questions relative to the wetlands or the impacts of this project or the scope of the project. And I can leave this on the screen or take it off, whatever the commission thinks is best.
Yeah. I'm not sure we need it on the screen, but if we have to, we can put it back up, but
Sure.
either way, it's, let's go to Eileen or John and see if they have any input from the commission, please.
Sure, I'll take this one. So were this not a perennial stream, it would have been an RDA. But this is Little's Brook back here and it's in the inner riparian, and that's why we required the notice of intent. Obviously, the long-term impacts are minimal, and frankly, I would say the enclosed dumpster is definitely an improvement on existing conditions. As Mr. Materano said, none of the other dumpsters behind the building for any of the other businesses are enclosed, so that's an improvement. The main concerns are just construction concerns while they're digging up pavements and putting in the slabs, so erosion controls, disposal of the pavement and that sort of thing, which we will certainly condition in an order of conditions.
Okay, sounds like there's no outstanding big issue with this.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, let's go around the commission. Don, anything?
No, I don't have anything further to add.
Gail?
So just a couple of things that you may think that this dumpster is going to be fully enclosed, and this is in the riverfront. It would be nice if the owner of the property required all the dumpsters to be enclosed along the riverfront. That would certainly be an improvement, which is usually required in the riverfront work. Also, I noticed when we were there was salt back there on the road, and I don't think that should be salted since it's right in the riverfront. So that's not something that should be done back there. And I don't know if this, those are all, kind of the improvements that you talked about. It would be nice to get the improvements of the dumpster. But since this is in the riverfront, John or Eileen, is there anything on the site in general that could be improved to improve the quality of the riverfront? Like, is there any trash removal needed, or could we, next time they, do some landscaping at the plaza, put in some native plants rather than kind of the sculpted non-natives that are generally put in these plazas?
So I can't really speak to the trash. I mean, historically, there's been trash issues on this site, but because of the snow and ice and high water, we couldn't really see any trash when we did the site visit. But we only looked in that immediate area behind this proposed store. So we can certainly check and see if there's other, all around the property, if there's trash that needs to be picked up. And we can also walk down the length of the brook and see if there's any places where it's possible to do any plantings.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gail. How about Bill?
Just one question on the function of this freezer. Does it only open into the store, or is it open out to the for deliveries and stuff too?
Hi, this is Ben with Edens. So the plan is to only have access from the interior of the space into the cooler. There will be no exterior door into the cooler.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, how about Ed? Is Ed still with us?
Still with you, sorry.
Okay.
Nothing to add. Sorry, Larry.
No, okay, no problem. Kent?
Nothing to add.
All right, I'd like to, nothing on this particular project proper, but I'd like to ask the representatives, Steve Materano, that you're the representative, right, from Eden?
Correct.
I'd like to ask if you would commit to doing, when the water level, lowers itself and the snow is gone. We have traditionally seen on occasion, we don't go out there all the time, but we have seen on occasion some things, and you folks have picked up stuff. I'd like to ask if you would sort of police the perimeter of that property and maybe send us, if you'd commit to just sending us a few paragraphs report that you did this and here's what you found and we took care of it. Is that possible? You could commit on the behalf of your company to do that?
I'm gonna ask Ben. Ben, is that
Yeah,
something you can
of
have your
course.
operations people do?
Yeah, of course, we can do that, no problem.
Okay, so I guess I should have directed that to you, Mr. Davis. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have the bowler do it, but obviously, yeah, we can do
Yeah,
that, no problem.
I actually was really aiming at you, Mr. Davis. And I did just got the name wrong. Yeah, if your company would commit to doing it and then send us sort of an after action report, I think we would very much appreciate it, rather than wait until we're taking a walk through there and we find, oh, there's a shopping cart, or oh, there's this, when if you guys could do that, I think the commission would be very appreciative.
Yeah, no, of course, that's no problem at all.
All right, good. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And I'm sure you'll make a note of it. Okay. So is there anyone in the audience for this? So this is the Mom's Organic grocery store is putting in a freezer near the riverfront area. Is there anybody that wants to comment on it in the audience? Okay, so I don't see that. Before we continue, on my part, I'd like to say, I think this is a nice store to have, not only in your mall, but to have in Burlington. It's, I was reading a little bit about it, and it says under some of their features, they are the only grocery store in the United States to offer 100% sustainable seafood right down to the canned tuna. They do say that. And at other stores, they have electric chargers. I don't know if you're planning to do that or not at this thing. I also, under the store features, I don't know if it's this store features, they have something that caught my eye, sustainable insect proteins. I have no idea what that is, but it sounded intriguing.
Hey everyone, I would just love to jump in here. My name is Katie Drenga. I'm representing Mom's Organic Market. I couldn't hit unmute quick enough before you moved on to the interesting fun facts about moms. Thank you, Larry, for doing a little research on us there. But the sustainable proteins that you're referring to very last are crickets. And I've never seen them in any other grocery store, but we have them available in bulk for purchase, as well as in baked goods if you want to start slow and move into sustainable proteins that way. But as you said earlier, that our mission is to protect and restore the environment, which is very rare when you look at grocery stores. So this hearing to us is extremely important, as to we don't want to impact the environment in a negative way. It's quite contrary that we are excited that this riverfront is behind us, as we often plan quarterly field trips for our employees to go out and collect trash, things that pile up due to human error in nature and in the wild, as we like to say. When I believe it was Gail was mentioning the possible addition of native species of plants to the parking areas there, if we were to do a little patio set up in the front of our location, we only put in native species of plants in those areas. And I was really excited to hear Gail really voting for that. I'm in your corner, Gail. But it would be a really great opportunity for us to have this addition, as it'll enhance our operations. But we are very excited to be in Burlington and and add to the community, as well as the environment there. So thank you very much for the consideration.
Thank you, Katie, for adding those comments. All right, I think a lot of us who favor organic foods probably think it's exciting to have this kind of a store come into Burlington. We're going to continue this hearing, and we will. Is there any issues that I missed? Was there any issues, Joan, that you heard at all come up?
Well, just the things that Gail asked, we'll look to see if there's any place to do in riverfront restaurant or riverfront enhancements. And we'll also see if there's any trash that's visible.
Right, right. Okay, so we will anticipate, unless someone objects, we will close the hearing on February 24th, and I'd entertain a motion to continue the hearing until February 24th, the next meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission. Is there a motion to that effect?
So
So
moved.
Second?
Second, Gail.
Okay, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So the hearing for Mom's Grocery Store is continued to our next meeting, February 24th, 2022. All right,
Thank you very
folks,
much.
it's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Okay. All right, so we have. The next one is a continued public hearing. This one is a continued public hearing for 130 Lexington Street. It's the Islamic Center of Burlington. It was the purpose of the hearing is to consider removing of fill and restoring buffer zone. It's DEP file number 122-663. Some folks here from that one? 130 Lexington?
I know Mary's here.
I think Mary is.
Mary may be muted. Let's see. This. Okay. I don't see a symbol that she's muted, but I don't hear her. Everyone else has a mute symbol.
Mm-hmm.
I have stepped away.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. She just stepped away.
Want to move to the next item and then come back?
Mary, can you hear us?
Larry, why don't we move on and then come back?
Yeah, why don't we do that? We'll just go back to her. Okay, the next one is continued public hearing, notice of intent.
I think we might have to move on to the discussion about 127 Bedford just because we're ahead of the time for that one. Is that correct, John?
But I don't know.
We can't start at the 8:40 public hearing.
Yeah.
yet.
Okay.
So we could do the discussion about 127 Bedford.
Or we could do administration. Administration.
Yep.
All right, why don't we, okay. Is there stuff to do under administration? I don't think that.
You can
What?
just dispense with it anyway. That takes a couple of minutes to ask.
Okay, I will do that.
Am I going after that? Sorry to interrupt. It's Mike Casey. I'm number 11.
Yeah, we officially can't start yours until 8:40, Mike is all.
I'm sorry. Okay. I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
Actually, I see Mary Trudeau on here twice now, so she may have phoned in. I see her twice. Can you hear us, Mary? One of them has a mute and the other one doesn't.
One's on, one's off. Yeah.
We're both muted on my screen.
All right, so here's what we'll do. Planning board comments. Do we have any planning board comments?
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Who was that?
Oh, yay.
that's Mary.
Mary, is this you?
It is me. It is me.
Okay.
I'm on both my phone and my tablet.
Okay, and neither one is working 100%, it sounded like.
Yes, I think that is exactly right.
All right, okay, so maybe we can muddle through it anyway. We can hear you now, so let's go back to, how about 130 Lexington Street?
Okay, for the record, my name is Mary Trudeau, and I am representing the Islamic Center of Burlington in their notice of intent application. Excuse me, can I ask you, am
Yes.
I echoing to you?
No.
No.
Okay, all right, good. We were before the commission several months ago, and the commission asked us several questions that we needed to resolve. What the most important being the fact that we had fill within a bordering land subject to flooding resource area, and we had not proposed any mitigation for that alteration. We went back to our engineers at Meridian, and after lengthy discussions, we have decided that the best path forward for us is to remove all of the fill that has been brought into the site and to restore the pre-existing grades back to the elevations that they were before this alteration occurred. We still are proposing the remediation of the 0 to 20-foot buffer zone areas with the native plantings. And we are still proposing the native seed mix and the restoration of the Caruso property. The difference is that we had originally proposed to spread the fill materials, and now we are proposing to just pull them out completely.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So, and as I remember last time, you were trying to get in contact with the somebody representing the Carusos. Is that taken care
Yes,
of?
I believe we had an email from them that may have come through John Keeley, and they have given us permission to do the work.
Okay. That was an issue, I think, at one point in previous hearings.
Yes, it was.
Okay. So, John or Eileen, you have comments on this one? It's been a while since we've seen it.
I think that's me, sorry. Do I have any, yes, we're pleased with the proposal to just remove all the fill since, as you can see here, many of the elevations were actually appear to be below the nearest flood level, which was 126. So it's really probably the best option. But then they would just, I believe, Mary, just level it off to some extent so they could still be used as a playing field. And they would also remove all the fill from the neighbor and seed his property again. So well, yes, I have no comment other than this is an appropriate approach, and we're just suggesting maybe some additional plantings in mitigation. I would suggest some additional plantings.
Okay. Let's see what folks have to say. Don, anything on this?
No, nothing.
Gail?
So I think this is a solution to an unfortunate problem. How this is, where the plantings are going to go and so forth, am I correct that that should prevent any mowing in this area, correct?
No, I believe that mowing will occur within the portion of the property that's under the control of the Islamic Center of Burlington, not within the 0 to 20-foot zone.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, yeah. So, but there shouldn't be, there are going to be plantings there, correct? So that it should be a barrier to mowing there, because sometimes people will, mow in the
yeah.
area they're trying to protect. Okay.
I believe we had also proposed using some boulders on site as
Okay.
a boundary.
All right, sounds good. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Gail. How about Bill?
Oh, no further comments.
Ed? Ed?
Why it does that? Sorry. I'm happy to see a solution for it. I'm pleased.
All right. Kent?
No, I agree with that. It looks like a good proposal, and hopefully everybody will be happy after this.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience for this? This is The Islamic Center of Burlington, 130 Lexington Street. They're removing some fill that was placed on adjacent property. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment on it? No. Okay, I think it's a good plan too. So I really don't have any further comment on it. Oh, do we have a draft decision to review?
We do, and I can do that right now.
Please do.
Okay, starting with the bylaw, which we usually do. This hearing was continued on a number of times with no testimony because they were sort of just getting their ducks in a row and they were getting permission from the neighbor. Here we describe how this is going to be the removal of 349 cubic feet of fill that was illegally brought on site, restoring the grades to previous conditions, improvement of the 20-foot no disturb zone by restoring grades, planting native trees and shrubs, and hand seeding with a seed mix consisting of native herbs and seeds, and using the existing boulders to create a rough wall at the 20-foot line. I think that was something Gail was concerned about. After the fill is removed and soil outside the 20-foot no disturb will be finished graded, raked and hydroseeded with the tackifier and mix, including native grasses. Work would occur within BLSF and the 100-foot buffer to bordering vegetated wetlands, and the neighbour's property shall also be restored to existing grades and revegetated. We went through the filing history, which was quite complicated in that the work was halted and the property owners were instructed to file a notice of intent. The project involves work that would occur within BLSF and the 100-foot flood zone. Buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. While the area of the project is not shown on FEMA maps as occurring in the 100-year flood zone, the elevations provided by the applicant indicate that most of the area filled is under the base flood elevation of 126 feet. Work occurring within or in close proximity to these areas can generate impacts to the areas. We went through the stormwater management standards for this project. They meet all the standards as where possible. The limit of work, that being the restoration, would be within 20 feet of the wetlands. Some of the fill was applied to approximately 4,400 square feet of the neighbouring property, and permission was obtained from the owner to enter the site to remove the debris and restore the grade to the previous levels. We are proposing sediment barriers could be hay bales, or in this case, what they actually proposed was 12-inch compost tubes as shown in the reference plan, and that would be fine with us too. And the numbers are just highlighted in case we change anything in the order of conditions. And we're proposing a bond in the form of 2,500. Now, if I switch right between them, does it actually work on the, can you actually see the order now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So the plan reference is the same. The site plan updated just about 2 weeks ago. And the first bunch of these conditions are standard, and Mary is well aware of what they usually are. The order permits work within BLSF and the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands only. No other work within the wetlands resource area has been permitted by this decision. And skimming down to pre-construction conditions, they are also standard. Somebody will give us notice a few days before the project starts, and we'll come out and check that the DEP numbers in place and the hay bales or wattles or compost tubes are in place. And we also just highlighted there that the acceptable alternative would be the 12-inch compost tubes, and sediment barriers shall be maintained in good condition. No dewatering permitted on this site in conjunction with these conditions unless we have approved a dewatering plan. The rest of these also standard. Applicant shall keep the roadway clear if anything gets out that far. The pollution control conditions are also completely standard about equipment refueling, no discharge or spillage of fluid, and pesticides, herbicides, fungicides should not be used within 100 feet of wetlands. These are the ones that are slightly adjusted for each project: BLSF and buffer zone restoration or landscaping or demarcation. No invasive plant species shall be planted anywhere within Burlington, and we have a list of invasive species. So it should not be planted, they should not be planted on the site, and this should be noted on the certificate of compliance and shall continue in perpetuity. A boulder wall using boulders from the site shall be installed approximately 20 feet from the BVW line as shown on the reference plan. This demarcation shall be maintained in perpetuity and noted on the COC. There were already 16 native shrubs on the drawings, or at least they look to be 16 native shrubs. We are also proposing that you require at least 6 native trees as well. to make up for as part of the restoration. They should be planted within or close to the 20-foot no disturb zone. Trees should be monitored for 2 full growing seasons, and those that fail to survive within that time shall be replaced. And the area behind the boulder line should be left as naturally vegetated, and this will exist in perpetuity. Debris in that 20-foot zone shall be cleared by hand or machinery from the southern side of the boulder wall only. No machinery shall be operated beyond the erosion control barrier. And this last one here is just standard instructions on how to go about getting a certificate of compliance.
Okay, any questions by the commission?
Nope.
Hearing none, if there's on that boulder line, is there going to be any like a native seed mix or anything used to let it grow wild, or are you just going to let it go on its own?
On the 0 to 20-foot buffer zone,
Yeah,
in areas where we have to remove fill, we will seed the bare areas, but most of the 0 to 20-foot buffer zone wasn't really damaged by this project.
got it. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so if there's nothing further on the draft decisions, could I have a motion to close the hearing for 130 Lexington Street, the Islamic Center of Burlington, to remove fill and restore buffer zone?
So moved, Ed.
Second,
Second, Don.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes, so 500, the hearing is closed. Could I have a motion to adopt the findings under Burlington bylaw Article 14 for 130 Lexington Street?
So move, Bill.
Second,
Second, Gail.
Don,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And I vote yes, same vote, 500, the findings are approved. Next, could I have a motion to approve the permit conditions under both Burlington bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act for 130 Lexington Street?
Gail.
Second, Bill.
Okay, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Gail,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Okay, the chair votes yes, again, a vote of 500, the permit conditions are approved. Next, could I have a motion to require the posting of $2,500 performance bond under Burlington bylaw Article 14 for the project at 130 Lexington Street?
So moved, Ed.
Second, Bill.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, 500. The request to post $2,500 surety is approved. Okay, so I think your client, they're all set. They're all set to, I guess, begin work when the snow's not there.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
Have a good night.
You too. Good night. Okay, next we have a continued public hearing, 14 Spring Valley Road, Michael Casey. It's a constructor garage. It's DEP file number 122-667. All right, Mr. Casey, I see you're here.
I am indeed. And my friend and engineer Al Kopek is here as well to help comment on all the things that are above my head.
Okay, thank you very much for both of you being here. All right, would you two, either of you like to say anything first before we get going on this?
I know Al was having audio issues. I know he called in. I'll let him interrupt me when it comes time, I guess.
That's fine. That's fine.
I know we recently turned in an update to the plans based on the responses that we got both from this commission and Mass DEP. There was questions in reference to compensatory storage.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, sorry. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Al Kopek. I'm actually a neighbor of Mike's and civil engineer, trying to help him get through the process and with his application. I know some of the comments that he had sent to me were, you're looking for some stormwater, which we have provided a subsurface system in the front yard. If I can bring up the plan.
I have it, Elle. It's, I'm showing it now. You can just tell me
Okay.
what to zoom in on if you need. Al, do you need me to zoom in on something?
Yeah, my connection's kind of slow, so I apologize. So on plan C2 in the front yard, you'll see that we provided a subsurface infiltration system. It's actually sized based on DEP requirements for or stormwater management policy guidance in volume 3, and will provide the volume as dictated in the requirements. The design is based on the full 456 square feet of proposed garage addition, though the net, impervious increase is only 249 square feet. So add in a little more volume than is required by DP. Additionally, proposing to put the compensatory storage on the north side of the garage. It's that area that's highlighted in the red crosshatch. And then I know the other main question were the flood vents. So we are proposing to put 3-inch by 24-inch flood vents on the west side wall, 2 of them vertically. Those can be seen on the detail sheet D1. I did some elevations. And then we're also putting the same 3-inch by 24-inch tall, essentially they're called non-engineered flood vents on the north wall as well. The size of these vents, were designed in accordance with CMR 780, which provides guidance on the sizing of flood vents, and their methodology is actually based on American Society of Civil Engineers Manual 24, which is the provides all the engineering design analysis that FEMA follows, and also Mass building code for residential structures. So that's what all the guidance were. So we also provided 2 engineered flood vents, which are, per the ASC 24 guidance, are allowed, and they provide guidance. And the guidance actually provides a factor of safety of 5. So I know DEP's comments in the past have not been favorable towards engineered flood vents, but I can't find anything in CMR 310 that specifically, dictates what is an unrestricted flow. The building code itself actually provides all the guidance on how to design and size all these non-engineered and engineered flood vents. So I went with their guidance. Additionally, we've provided all erosion control around the proposed site, around the limits of work. And pending any questions.
Larry, you're muted. Sorry, I had to mute everybody because I just was hearing too much feedback.
Sorry, what did I?
Okay, I unmuted myself. John or Eileen, would you like to comment on this one?
Sure. I'll take this one. So could you explain again what the proposed floodplain, the compensation area is compensating for?
It's so DEP had made a comment about where the compensatory storage was. So with the new garage slab that we're putting in, proposing, it's going to meet the existing garage elevation in the front, or the existing driveway elevation, but then in the back, just to keep the garage, to meet building code, there has to be a slight 4-inch rise, or 4-inch rise, or it's gonna be 4 inch lower than the door to meet building code. So there's gonna be some increased concrete slab in the building, and it's gonna increase some of the or reduce existing compensatory storage. So we had to provide some additional compensatory storage to meet the DEP question.
Okay, for a portion of the slab. Got it. Okay, I mean, I totally agree with you that 310 CMR is really kind of vague about performance standards in bordering land subject to flooding. But I did some research, and I have found some documentation from DEP that quite explicitly says that flood vents are not considered unrestricted flow. And they're not allowed. I mean, they may meet building code, they may be designed for FEMA and whatnot, but they don't meet the standards of the wetlands protection regulations for unrestricted flow, because clearly they do restrict flow. I mean, they're the only way to have unrestricted flow is basically to have, a building on piers or on sonotubes or something like that, and with the building elevated above the floodplain. I can certainly share that with you. I can't share it tonight because I'm remote, but I do have it at work. So I can share that later. But
What does that do to this proposal, John?
So in my opinion, this proposal doesn't meet the performance standards for work in bordering land subject to flooding.
All right.
I guess my question is, I guess, because I've gone through, I know 310 CMR section 10.57, where they put the performance standards, doesn't really state. It says it's a vague statement of an unrestricted flow, but doesn't define what an unrestricted flow is, and that's a published regulation. Whereas the state building code is a public regulation, and provides direct guidance in how to meet the requirements of construction within a floodplain.
I don't disagree with you, but I mean, I can tell you what DEP says, and I've got a document from DEP. So, it's not going to help you for the Conservation Commission to approve something that the DEP is just going to supersede.
Let me ask you, I looked up flood vents, and what they said is the appropriately sized opening for unrestricted flow. I'm not sure I remember the source, was you take the area that's enclosed in square inches, and it's 1 square inch of opening for every 100 square inch enclosed, or something like that. For every square
Yeah.
foot, there's 1 square inch of opening. Are you meeting that standard?
Yes, we are. I provide the calculations in the narrative.
So the issue is not how to design a flood. Yes, you're saying, John, is that the wetland regulations specifically exclude flood vents?
No, I didn't say that. So I said the wetland regulations are vague, but I've gotten further guidance from the DEP, and I have written guidance that I can share later on, that say that flood vents are not allowed, as they're considered restricted flow, and they're not allowed in the floodplain. If you allow them, then you'd have to do floodplain compensation for the entire garage, not just the portion of the footing where they're filling. It would have to be the entire flood volume inside the garage.
But now that's not the way that AEC interprets that, or actually provide the guidance for. It's saying that the flood events with their factor of safety of 5 allows for the hydrostatic pressure to balance on both sides of on the interior and the exterior of the garage walls.
Right, but that's another issue. We're not talking about buildings codes, or we're not talking about FEMA. We're talking about the Mass Wetlands Protection Regulations and DEP's interpretation of them.
All right, it seems to me that this discussion needs to be taken offline because you have the resource back at the office. And he needs to be looking at the same thing you are, John.
Okay.
Okay, so, all right, so is there anything else to cover here, given what you've just said, or does this need to be resolved first before we go any further?
I would definitely suggest you continue this.
Of course. Of course. All right, so Mr. Casey, Mr. Kopak, it looks like there's an issue that needs to be resolved.
Can I ask a question before we get away from it? Please,
Yes.
this is Bill. If they're putting in compensatory flood storage, why do you also need flow through?
So they're not compensating for the entire volume inside the garage. They're just compensating for a portion of the rear of the slab where they're actually filling floodplain to construct the slab, not for the volume inside the garage.
So they're compensating for the fill that they're putting in. I'm a little confused here. I mean, normally if
Right.
you fill, you got to compensate for the fill.
Well, the entire garage is fill. So they're just compensating for some additional dirt that they're bringing in to level off the back of the garage for the footing. But the
Okay,
entire garage is then displacing floodwater.
all right.
And DEP's position is it's being displaced because flood vents don't allow unrestricted flow in and out.
Especially since they're not even on opposing sides of the building. So if there were compensatory flood storage sufficient to cover the entire volume of the garage, then the garage could be solid.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Or if the entire garage was on pillars,
Yeah,
that would work too. Is that correct, John?
Yeah, but I don't, that would be structured parking and probably wouldn't be allowed in a residential area.
Ugh, okay, all right. All right, we need to, I guess you need to take this offline, folks. I'm sorry for this, that's the way it's looking.
Can I ask one follow-up question?
Of course.
John, the last comment you made about structured parking, I think I understood it as a garage being built on top of some sort of pier system. Is that because the floor is raised, or I'm just wondering about potential future solutions and if that would restrict, I guess what the structured parking definition is, if you will.
Yeah, so that would be a question for the inspector of buildings.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
I'm not sure. I'm just afraid that might be what he says, but I'm not positive about that. And I have one other question. So this material that you gave to us, when did DEP get this? Do you know?
They haven't made comments on it. They received it either yesterday or today.
Okay,
All right, so they may comment further on this.
correct.
Right. All right, I don't see anything else we can do here, folks. So could I have a motion to continue the hearing for 14 Spring Valley Road to our next meeting of February 24th?
So moved, Tom.
Second.
second, Bill.
All right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes,
Ed?
Yes.
The chair votes yes, so by a vote of 500, the hearing for 14 Spring Valley Road is continued for the next meeting on February 24th. All right, folks, I guess we'll say goodnight for now, and I guess there'll be some discussions between over the next 2 weeks. Okay, all right, have a good night. All right, so next on the agenda. Okay. right, we have a discussion on installation of paver blocks for 127 Bedford Street. John or Eileen, do you want to start the discussion? I was there, I couldn't do that, but it's up to you.
So at least some of us were at the site yesterday, so we could see the extent of the paving all the way across the front of the house. I know that Maureen actually does have some proposals to discuss with us. She sent a plan over just today that I didn't send to you guys since we just got it today, but as she speaks, I can share it. And you guys can just discuss what you all think of her proposal, if that's okay with you.
That's fine. Maureen, would you like to do the honors?
Sure thing, thank you. So obviously after the first hearing, this was an item of concern, not only for the commission, but the adjacent neighbor. So we were looking at possible mitigation methods. I think someone on the commission had asked us about that. And the design engineer who did the original engineering for this lot went out to the property and he produced a sketch, a possible sketch that we'd like the commission to just take a look at and consider. I don't know, do you want to bring that up, Eileen, or do you want me to? Thank you. So as the commission knows, the pavers essentially go across the entire front yard. There's also landscape walls along the perimeter of the front yard as well. On the left-hand side of the driveway, there's an existing landscape wall. And the thought was to try and control any runoff from this site. The proposal is to extend this landscape retaining wall down towards the infiltration trench. And the thought is that any water that would flow towards the Callahan's property, which is towards the northeast, would hit the wall, run down the wall towards the infiltration trench. Now, the trench that's at the base of the driveway was originally approved to be 3 feet wide. We're increasing that trench for the additional runoff to a 5-foot wide trench in that area. And he had thought that this could be a possible solution to not only infiltrate the water, but also control any type of runoff and prevent it from running onto the Callahan. And I do apologize. This was a last minute submittal. I've been asking the engineer to go out and just come up with a possible solution that may be considered.
Okay, thank you, Maureen. Yeah, I have some thoughts, but I'd like to see what John and Eileen have. I was on the site and Eileen, do you want to comment first, please?
Well, okay, well, we only saw this today as well. So I'm thinking, I understand where they're coming from, where this design is coming from. They want to just keep all of this, the water that is, sluicing down this way. They wanted to keep it from going into the neighbors. I like this idea. I'm okay with that. And then going into a much bigger infiltration trench. I'm not sure how they're sizing that, but that's a possibility that could work. I'm wondering just in order is that going to be entirely stone, or are they thinking they might have it be stone but then grass it over so that it would just be easier to maintain? What were you thinking, Maureen?
So the initial design from the engineer was stone. But we're certainly open to any ideas or suggestions.
I'd like to throw something out to the commission for a minute. When I was there, first of all, can you refresh the commission's memory on what we did approve as far as paving? I seem to remember that it was somewhere like as the triangle between the driveway and the triangle between the driveway and the 100-foot contour was what we, so the sort of the triangle in the front there, we did approve for paving. Is that correct or
Are
not?
you seeing the plan I'm sharing now?
You
I'm
might,
never sure if I can switch between them.
yeah, you might want to blow it up a little.
Oh, I can. So in the last iteration of the plan, well, I mean, Maureen can chime in. In the last iteration of your meetings, you did approve an additional proposed paved parking area at the front of the house,
Right.
but not the whole way across.
Yeah, so the area to the left of the driveway was not approved for paving, and it is paved now with
Correct.
paving stones. And the area to the right of the walkway is all paving stones, so cars can park there. Given the condition of how icy the driveway was, they're probably parking cars in front because the thing was a complete sheet of ice when we were there in front of the driveway doors. And there's also piles to the left where it says paved driveway, to the left of the garage. There was all kinds of piles there, so I don't think they can use it as a garage. And if those of you who remember this property, the area in back of that stone trench that Maureen is proposing to widen goes down in elevation and stores water because it's a wetland in that corner. So if you put all this more water from the pavers on the right, the triangle that's now newly paved on the left, and all of this is going down into there, it's going to end up going into the same wetland area. It's going to just, I mean, yeah, it'll disappear on the surface, but it's going to go underground, and essentially you're going to have a pool of water in the wetlands that is going to be required to store more water. If that's going to happen, it just seems to me the Callahans are going to get a lot of water, is what I think is going to happen. The only way I can see is the yard has to be enlarged to just store more water in order to alleviate this problem. I think Maureen, I think what I see here is a trench that is going to make the water disappear, but it's still going to end up back in the back part of the property, causing a problem for the neighbors. Underground. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I just have this intuition that that's what's going to happen. So I'd like to throw that out. Some of you weren't there yesterday, but you probably remember the property. So I wanted to throw that out to the commission.
So this is Gail. I was there also at the site, and correct in the entire front yard. You mean actually, if you look at the plan, the driveway was already paved, but everything else in the front there is now all paved. So I have a couple of concerns. I agree with you, Larry, that it would create an issue potentially from that, that would leak out underground, but also that, there are two things that, obviously we have more water because we have more impervious, so we're dumping huge amounts of water back there. But I'm also concerned about this stone wall that, how with this amount of water kind of coming constantly kind of flowing that way, whether any of that water is going to break out under the wall and then go on to the adjacent property or erode the wall, cause it to break down over time. I just, I really don't, this is just a bad situation, and not only in terms of water, but just having this much pavement in a residential neighborhood. It's just not good. But
Well, the other solution, Gail, is to have them pull it up.
yeah, well, that's what I was
I
thinking.
mean, I don't want to come and go right to that and say that, but
Yeah.
that is a valid solution.
And I think, it may, if they could put some plantings or even like a rain garden where off to the left of the driveway, that might take up some of the water so that, if the issue they have is they don't use their garage because all the water flows down there and settles there, well, that might help, in terms of taking up some of the water off the driveway and off that new pavement that we allowed. but there's just way too much hardscape, and you know the water is just there's no place for the water to go.
Except in that low area in back.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's go through the list. Dawn, anything else on this comment?
No, I agree with both of your comments, and I think it needs to be looked at further.
Yeah, Bill?
I think this has been a situation that has been repeated intentional violations of what was previously ruled by the commission. I think they should be fined. I think it should be restored to what was approved. We have precedents for situations where people have filled more than we've allowed in the past, and we have made them do extensive, renovations to dig it up and restore it back to what it should have been in spite of the filling that they had done. To me, this is the same situation. I think they should be required to remove those stone pavers that are in excess of what was previously approved.
Thank you, Bill. How about Ed?
I'm in total favor of that, and I still have a big concern over neighbors, both left and rear. The way that water is going to flow, there's no question in my mind that no matter what kind of infiltration we put there, that water's still going to seep into the ground, and it's just going to increase flooding in that corner. And then we're going to hear from the neighbors again. I totally agree with what Bill just said. We put some restrictions here and we put some agreements here that say, put it back the way it was originally planned, because this is obviously a situation where, and we've even experienced it, you can't park your cars in the street. They're probably expecting overload of guests and whatnot, and they're making this a front yard parking lot. It just does not go with what was planned.
Well, the problem, Ed, as you know, is it's affecting the neighbors, and that's not
That's key. That's key.
the situation.
Larry, may I ask one more question?
Yes, please.
The property behind this subject property, at one point when we were investigating this originally, where near the where the wetland is, they were part of the problem because of a sports court they had put in, and we had come up with a plan to resolve that in some fashion by creating drainage ditch that went in. Was that work done?
Well, they were going to recreate the path of the water. The water used to go diagonally through the sport court like a trench and into the storm sewer. And they were going to, the simple thing was, they were going to agree to put a trench behind the court and square it off and then still go into the thing. So they theoretically, the idea was they were going to do their part.
Was that done?
So it was done. We haven't inspected it, but we did talk to the contractor who did the work.
Okay, so if that hadn't been done, then maybe that would be part of this neighbor's problem here. But if it's already been done, then obviously that's not going to be an impending solution.
But I would point out that the restoration that you required on this lot on 127, including all the plantings, has not been done.
Again, they're not going along with the situations that we've requested.
Bill, I completely sympathize with it. Oh, Kent, let me go to Kent. I'm sorry, Kent. Kent, do you have any comments on this one?
No, I agree with Bill. I mean, it keeps coming up, and I think if you don't address it, it's going to keep coming up. We're going to hear from neighbors. It's going to keep showing up on the same. And I think if Bill's totally right, and everybody said if you don't address it, it's going to set bad precedents going forward. So I think it needs to be resolved.
Yeah, Bill, I'd like Bill, and I don't know who else supported you on your position, Ed, I think. I'd like you to consider one thing. I'm wondering, I do not know. I'm just wondering, Bill, if leaving that pavement in place, but essentially converting most of the yard to store water is actually a more effective option for dealing with the water that the Callahan's are experiencing. In other words, the water, right now we have this corner of wetlands that's going to hold water. And I'm not even sure that in itself, even if it's restored, what I'm saying is, I'm not even sure if that's even restored. okay, that the paving, that they put in the plants, they pull up the paving as you suggest on the left, they pull up the paving on the right, and we just go with what we have. I don't know, but I'm not sure that that's going to alleviate sufficiently the problem with the Callahans. Whereas I'm wondering, is it a more proactive approach, whether you pull up the paving or not, is to expand the yard to hold more water? I'm just throwing it out there because I just don't know.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, that would require some kind of wetland expertise, I think, to decide what would be essentially a compensatory volume you're trying to create in some sense to create more storage space.
I don't
And
know
would
how you
that be something
justify.
that the homeowners would agree to.
Yeah, well, I don't know how you justify one versus the other as being better. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know how to. I certainly sitting here can't do that.
Well, we obviously approved something we thought would work. With
Right.
a combination of this property, the property behind it, you
Sure.
know, and, creating restoring the original drainage and restoring the wetland with some plants. We obviously thought that would work. It hasn't been fully implemented to that level to know if it would work. And now they've gone and done more impervious area and, it has certainly made it worse than we had planned for. And we hoped that plan was going to be sufficient.
Maureen?
Larry, to your point, yeah, I sort of agree. I mean, so obviously this is impervious, but if they had just parked cars on a lawn area there, it would have become so compacted that the runoff coefficient from the yard, just from cars sitting on it, would be almost as high as the impervious pavers. That's what's just going to happen when you're parking cars. The grass is going to die. It's just going to be hard packed dirt. And you would have ended up in a similar place. So I kind of like the idea of trying to create more water storage on their property.
And I think we have every right to require it based on their non-compliance with all our previous agreements. I would think.
So you're
Maureen,
suggesting.
let me go to Maureen. I'm sure the owners are not going to be happy to have their yard turned into a low-lying wetland to store more water, but it would cure the problem, probably.
Yes, I mean, I would like the opportunity to take a look at these different ideas and come back to the commission and make a proposal to see what we can work. We obviously want to work with the commission, but what I'd like to note is that there was some sort of disconnect along the way, meaning the landscaper reached out to the town to discuss extending this patio area. And the disconnect, I think, was permission was given, yes, you can extend it, but I think it was extended too much. And I wasn't there for the conversations, but I don't want the commission to think that this was malicious, because I do think that the homeowner and the landscaper tried to work with the town to extend the pavers area. So
All right.
they did reach out to the town.
Well, Maureen, what I'm looking at is from the point of view of the Callahans, who have articulated a very serious problem. And I really think that we should start from the point of taking a fresh look at it and what's going to cure the problem once and for all. I realize there may have been some miscommunication, but I actually believe the storage of additional water there would keep the water on their property and not have it go into other people's property. I actually think that's the thing. Let me go to Ms. Callahan. I see you waiting there patiently. So would you you probably want to state your address for the record, and then if you want to talk, please do.
I am the alternative to the Burlington Ice Palace right now at 125 Bedford Street.
Okay.
Our yard is completely flooded. It is completely unusable. This has been going on now since I was pregnant with my son, and he's now 4.5. I really, the yard expansion sounds like a great idea. I don't care what they do next door. We don't care. As long as their water stays on their property, hands off, I don't care. Our yard is completely unusable now, and it was not like that. Like when I showed you our real estate listing, the yard was not like that at all. It was not a wetland, nothing. We are taking on all their water. Our sump is going now when it never did before. It's just very frustrating, and I understand, like, they want to have their backyard. We want to have our backyard too. I have 3 children that can't use their backyard right now, and this has been going on for 4 years. 66 trees were taken out of that yard with no permits. I didn't know that they needed a permit. And when I saw that the front yard was paved, my husband and I had like a panic attack because I knew the water was going to go right in our yard, which it is now. It's very frustrating, and I appreciate the town for trying to help us out because it's very stressful. It's very stressful.
Okay, good. Thank you for those comments. I kind of anticipated what you would say,
You know me too well already.
so I'm not surprised. I really think, Maureen, we should take a fresh look at this and what is it that's going to cure the problem once and for all? And keeping the water on their property should be the operative phrase, I think. And whatever it is you want to take a look at is up to you, but I think that's where we should be going.
Agree, and I appreciate all the input, and we'll take a look at these ideas and come back to the commission with some new material.
Right. I think the commission, I would offer to the commission, we're in a situation of essentially enforcement. They did not do what was agreed to totally. They added substantially more pavement on the left and some additional pavement on the right. And I think we're in an enforcement situation. So I think the commission, has some latitude on what we can order to be done.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the enforcement one way or the other, and then is to make them pay for what they have done wrong, either by a fine or by fixing the problem and at their own expense. I mean, that's going to be an enforcement option. I agree.
Anybody else would like to make a comment before I close this out?
The only one comment that I would add, it seems like the emphasis, they were not malicious, I agree with Maureen, to do what they did in the front and not really where all of our concentration efforts were to solve a water problem. And nothing's been done all the way down to the rear corner of the property, but everything's been done in the front of the property. I think they got it backwards.
Just if I could just point out, first of all, this whole project that was happening at the back, that was actually under an enforcement order, but it was also agreed that the wetland was coming in pretty well at the back, the whole back left. So there wasn't really very much for them to do. I think we mostly had agreed that they were going to do some plantings, and that hasn't happened yet. I'm just reminding you guys of the history of it.
Yeah, I don't think just plantings is going to cure this problem, though.
Weren't you
And
supposed to do a retaining wall as well? That was what was in the plan, no?
Yeah, so there was, oh, I'm sorry.
Go
May
ahead.
I-
Go ahead.
Please.
Yes, so there was a retaining wall in the back, and from speaking with the landscaper that installed the pavers, was when he started the work, it was like the middle of November is what I was told. And he went to order the plants, and all the plants weren't available, which makes sense because it's the end of the season. So the specified plants that were shown on the plan, they weren't available. And I asked him, what's your timeline for doing the backyard? Because I agree with the commission. We need to get the backyard stabilized, the plants in, and address that issue. And he said in the springtime that was going to be performed.
Okay, well, Maureen, I think you have your work cut out for you.
I think you're right.
Okay, I'm sorry for that, but I think you did.
Sorry, Maureen.
I wanted to make a point to the commission to consider. I would like to, Bill, we can, since I'll address it to you, since you made the point that, we should, this is subject for a fine, given, willful non-compliance. I'd rather put rather the resource into the fine, I'd rather see the resource into fixing the problem so in other words, if we can get a permanent fix that makes it so the Callahans are not subjected to this anymore,
Oh, I
Uh,
agree, that's a better solution than finding it, and the problem still sits there. Yeah.
Right,
No
right, right. I knew you'd agree. I just thought
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
point it out. All right, so, Maureen, unless you have something more to add, or the Callahans, if you have something more to add, we'll put it on a future agenda. When should we continue? Should we continue this discussion to a certain time, or just your request?
I'd recommend you put it on the March 10th agenda, give them a month to, so they don't come up with some rushed solution in 2 weeks, give it some time to do some design work.
Okay,
Is that enough time, Maureen?
It's enough time, but I'm not gonna be here. I'm gonna be on vacation and I'm not zooming in.
hopefully someplace good.
The Dominican.
Very nice, very nice, very
Pretty
nice.
sunshine and beach. I can't wait.
I understand. Well, I will be absent from the March 24th, but there's no reason why you can't put it on for that second meeting in March, if you want to.
Okay.
Please.
All right, so why don't we schedule it for the second meeting in March? And Bill, are you willing to chair that meeting, please?
I'm just looking at my calendar now. I don't think I have a problem. Let's see. I have a conservation meeting. That's all I have that day. So yes, I'm available.
Great, thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't make it that day. Okay. All right. So Maureen, we'll see you after your vacation, and you've thought of some great ideas on what we can do here, given all this discussion.
Okay, will do. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Okay, Ms. Callahan, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody, for your help and helping us out. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing. Take care.
Take care.
All right, so next on the agenda is we have a public hearing, believe it or not. Notice is hereby given the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a Webex virtual public hearing. The commission will discuss and take public comment on a proposed update to the Burlington Stormwater Management Bylaw governing erosion and sedimentation control, which is Article 4, Section 6 of the Burlington General Bylaws. A draft of the bylaw update is available on the Conservation Commission website for viewing and downloading. Okay, so we have, I gather, Eileen, you're the lead for this, is that correct? Would you like to start talking, Eileen, on this one?
Sorry, yeah, I was just seeing if I needed to open the bylaw, then I lost the meeting for a second.
I thought you were just waving to me.
Sorry. Yeah, I guess I am. I suppose I am the lead in this, in that I'm the scribe. So I will. There's nobody here who's actually appears to be here for the hearing, but just for the purpose of the hearing, let me just repeat that. So far, we have discussed the bylaw and we have proposed some changes that include dropping the thresholds. And therefore requiring hearings for smaller projects. I actually just had a couple of comments from Kristen Kastner this week, who had just gave us some ideas about adding a couple of definitions that we don't have, like for a professional engineer, or just tweaking what we had there. She also wondered whether it would actually make sense to clarify that this could actually just be under the purview of the Conservation Commission going forward, and not also the Planning Board, just to keep things clearer. I think that this was actually Larry's idea way back 15 years ago, as a way of kind of bridging between some departments. And I think that it's been very successful. And in fact, I feel like, and I know Kristen feels like this, that the departments work pretty well together now. We've really, we have a lot of interaction with them. We discuss a lot of their projects. They discuss a lot of, because a lot of projects do come in front of both boards for different things. So I think that is an idea that we could consider, just having this be cleaner and therefore only under the Conservation Commission going forward. We were supposed to have another meeting with the Board of Health this week, but I messed up. I'm sorry, because well, I'm not used to having to put notices for meetings, so I just forgot. So we're going to have that next Tuesday, just to see if there's any other points that we can thrash out between us. And Larry, I'm sure you might have something else to add.
Yes. I think because it's a public hearing, I'd like to talk a little bit about, and anybody can add to it if I forget stuff. The purpose of why we're changing the erosion and sedimentation control bylaw, which I think is going to be called the stormwater bylaw, just for more simplistic sake, is that as a practice of tearing down houses and rebuilding them, and the rebuilding being so large, and the side lots, the buildings coming out to the side lots, there's more impervious surface, and the building is, is scrunched to the front, and a lot of the yard is used up with large buildings now. We're having issues with water management on the property and keeping the water on the property and going on to other people's property. And we're ending up in neighbor to neighbor disputes. And if the water management systems, whether it be trenches or dry wells or whatever the case, were properly designed, that should not happen. The water should not be running onto other people's property. And the way we seek to control that is we seek to have, for sufficiently large projects, we would like to have engineered plans. We would like to, at the end of the project, have an as-built plan. We would like to have a bond, okay, to ensure compliance. And we would like to have accepted design practice in the design of it. And when something goes wrong, we can go back to those tools as part of the permitting process. Unfortunately, the original bylaw was designed thinking that homeowner projects were de minimis, and therefore they only need more of a standard set of conditions, land disturbances between 10 and 20,000, and they would get a standard set of conditions. There'd be no engineered plan. There would be no stamped plan. There would be no as-built plan. There'd be no performance bond, no accepted design practice. And so we're getting stuff that is done by the homeowner even. They're putting in an infiltration by the homeowner and it's not working correctly. So when these disputes arise, if they're done by a professional engineer, we can go back to these people and we can hold the engineer responsible for it not operating correctly to resolve it. Without those tools, we are at a loss. We really don't have the tools in place to really deal with neighbor to neighbor disputes. And so the Board of Health is coming in and saying, well, we have a stormwater and we have a regulation that says you can't run other people's water onto a neighbor's property. And they're in a position of saying, well, how do we fix this? They have to say, is this a violation? So they have to say it's a violation of their regulation and they have to order them to do something after the fact. Whereas if there was an engineered plan, a licensed engineer, a professional engineer involved, we could go back to that. It would be a lot more orderly way of dealing with it. Does any of that make sense, or did I mush it up too much?
Nope, that was great.
Yeah, that makes sense, Larry.
I think it makes a lot of sense, Larry, because I think half the time it's really the landscaper that's making the decisions and not a true engineer looking at it.
Right. I mean, I remember on Arnold Terrace, the fellow that designed his own infiltration in front, and the water's, you remember that, the water's breaking out because he did his own little design and he thought that that was fine. It wasn't required to have an engineer design it and say, this is what you do.
Yeah, that's a classic example of why we need this.
Right. So we are looking at lowering the thresholds and what they should be. It means there'll be more projects entering the permitting system with all those safeguards in place. And a lot of the discussion with the Board of Health is what those thresholds should be. And they want to talk about how we're going to enforce it, because permits have to be enforced rather than waiting for them to, cause a mess and then they're in violation. When they don't have any permit at all, say under 10,000 feet of land disturbance, we have to wait until, if there is a problem, we have to wait until there's a violation of the stormwater bylaw, and then we can do it as an enforcement action, which is not very proactive. Would anybody like to comment on that? I guess I'd call that a preamble. Don?
No, I agree. I think we need to find a way to enlarge the scope so that we can make it work for us.
Okay. Gail, I've talked enough. Would you like to make some comments, please?
No, I think you have talked enough, yes. No,
Thank you, Gail.
No, I agree that, we've had issues in the past where, things that either haven't worked right or projects we didn't come under any kind of regulation, and neighbors had had problems because of, stormwater isn't handled on a site. So this will just allow the office to catch more projects that wouldn't previously have been under our regulation.
Okay. Bill? comment,
I
please?
think it's important to capture smaller projects. I think a major modification is also the fact that we're saying not only so many square feet of disturbance, but the fact that we're just talking changes in impervious area. A good example is the thing we just discussed with those pavers. If a project like that was only to put in those pavers out front, we would never have had a say in it. And let's say there's no wetlands out back. They're just putting in those pavers, covering a significant amount of their front lawn, but less than, the magic number of square feet, it wouldn't have come in front of us. But now it would be captured, and that runoff has to be, spoken for and designed for in an appropriate fashion. So I think that's one of the major differences here.
May I chime in on that one, Larry?
Yeah.
Please.
Just to say, that's going to be a tricky one to catch, because I don't really think they need to actually apply for any sort of permit to do that. So, this is going a long way, but there may still be paving projects that I don't know about.
Right. But we also see situations now where the regulations say you can't cut trees within a certain zone. And they go in and do it because there's no other permit required, a building permit or anything else. So we don't capture that either. People hopefully become aware of these, and a public hearing is one way to make people aware of that, which is what we're doing now. So.
Right. Okay. Ed?
Yep. No, you got my comment. I think it's a simple one too. It's not simple in the sense of writing it, but the decisions are being made by owners and landscapers in situations like what we're talking about. And they just don't bring in the right people to plan exactly where this water can be dealt with.
Yep.
It's got to be done first.
It has to be designed for some of these projects. Kent?
Nothing to add. I mean, the only thing I think is the benefit is the smaller projects that will have to go under more scrutiny and review, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, one of the issues, Ken, for a smaller project is a question of, we have to be mindful of how much burden we're creating for the average homeowner doing a garage or doing a small addition. We got to be careful where we set these limits, because some of them are probably de minimis, probably. And I think we have to really think long and hard about what we're setting for the thresholds that qualify for the full permit or the abbreviated permit. Okay, John, I didn't actually go to you for any comments. Do you want to say anything before we adjourn?
Sure. I mean, this is all, I mean, obviously, this is all good stuff. We've been talking about all this stuff for quite a while, and it's taken a while to get to this point. I would just logistically recommend that you keep this hearing open right through pretty much till town meeting. Because unfortunately, there's nobody here from the public. And there's probably people who are going to have contrary points of view. We've already heard from Phyllis Etzel that she thinks it's going to add something like $10,000 to a project, a single family house project. So once that word gets out, there are a lot of home builders in town who are probably going to want to come in and put their 2 cents in. So we need to keep the hearing open, just in case people do want to vent on that.
Right, right. Well, and I can understand adding, significant money to I mean, you wanna add the controls to the project via permitting to projects that need to have it. And projects which are de minimis, you would like to have continue with the standard set of conditions.
Correct.
Uh,
And frankly, I don't think $10,000 on a $1.5 million house is that significant. But I'm sure we'll hear from people who think it is.
The $10,000 on an addition might be a lot.
Right. Right. So we definitely have to,
Or garage.
there's more discussion is needed. All right, so I think, why don't we just simply continue it? Could I, one more thing. Could we, I think as a courtesy, we have used Bob Buckley as the conduit for the Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce for representing industry and stuff like this. A lot of it is, it's not going to affect the major projects that particularly they do, but I think as a courtesy, it might be nice if we could send a summary and with a draft of what we're doing to them.
Yeah, we could certainly do that, but right, they're not involved in any of the residential stuff that this really impacts, but we can do that.
No, I'd appreciate it if we could do that. I think it's, in this case, it's just a courtesy that they know that we're doing stuff, but I don't think they're gonna have much comment on it. Okay, so Eileen, you made a note on that one? Okay. Could I have a motion to continue the hearing for proposed revisions to the stormwater management bylaw, general bylaw, Article 14, Section 6, to February 24th?
So moved, Ed.
Second,
Gail?
Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Okay, the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 5-0, the hearing on the proposed revisions to the stormwater management bylaw are continued to our meeting of February 24th. Okay, so planning board comments. Do we have anything for the planning board?
Well, just Mom's, I guess. Mom's Organic Market. I'll let him know that you may be looking for riverfront restoration and you like the idea of the enclosed dumpsters.
Right. Subcommittee and staff reports and updates. Other business. The next two meetings are February 24th and March 10th. That's the next item. Anything else?
MACC conference.
Okay, would someone like to comment on that?
MACC conference is coming up. You are all members, and feel free to avail of their education, and we will reimburse you. I think Kent is going to do a few things. That sounds great. Thank you, Kent.
That sounds great, Kent.
I encourage people to go. I've been to several of them, and the training is good, but also just the kind of research talks and are excellent that are generally presented.
Unfortunately, it's still virtual. It's much more fun when it's at Holy Cross. Maybe next year.
Yeah, I was about to say that exact thing. Gail and Bill, and maybe those of you who are particularly interested, one of the workshops that I hope to listen into is being given by Nathaniel Stevens and a couple of the people from Arlington about incorporating climate change aspects into wetland bylaws and regulations. Because I'm working with some people with MACC to try and produce a model bylaw to incorporate those things.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Eileen. Could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
So move, Bill.
Second?
Seconded?
Okay, Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail? Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
All right, the chair votes yes by a vote of 500. This meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission is adjourned.